In the OxWell team, we've always prioritized giving the data back to stakeholders, but we're really excited because this year we've developed something entirely new called OxHub, which is an online data dashboard that allows users across schools, local authorities, academy trusts to be able to look at their data, contextualize it in their local area, and to take real action based on it.
I think it's important to do the survey because it helps communicate to the teachers what we're thinking, and if it's a majority, then it's easier for them to know that they have to listen to it, and it's much easier to put it in an anonymous form instead of telling the teachers directly.
A really important part of the OxWell survey is us making sure that the data we collect and the information students tell us is given back to schools and to commissioners and local authority partners in a way that is meaningful, easy to access and useful in order to make plans moving forward.
By using something that we call filters, you're able to look at the data with different lenses. For example, if your school is most worried about boys who are being bullied, you can specifically look at the OxWell responses for that group. But it really allows you to get a very detailed, nuanced picture of groups who you feel might have higher need in your school or local area.
We're now going to show you how you can explore the survey questions using the data platform. You can explore various survey questions across all of these topics here in the left side panel. I'm going to have a look at the bullying data, which is under school experience. Here you can see there's a clear visualization of the question, have you been bullied at school in the last couple of months? And you can see the results for each of these response options here. A key feature of this platform is that we have filters, which allows you to look at particular groups. Here are some examples of the filters you can use, so year group or gender identity. And I'm going to have a look at the absence data, and I'm going to look at students who are more than 16 days absent. Now you can see the results of this question just for students who are more than 16 days absent. And you can hover over the chart to see exact percentages and counts. Another key feature of this platform is that it allows for benchmarking. So you can compare this school's results to the whole OxWell sample, the local authority, and also by other schools without directly identifying which these schools these are. So I'm going to have a look by the whole OxWell sample. So here we can see the results for the whole OxWell sample, and here we can see the results for this school, and you can see that the pattern differs slightly. If you find the OxHub platform useful, and please get in touch if you have any questions about using it.
We're then hoping to be able to suggest targeted and tailored interventions, strategies, and approaches to make a difference for young people, which then we at the University of Oxford will be able to evaluate in real time.
We can use that data to validate the approaches that we're taking sometimes, rather than just relying on qualitative evidence and succumbing to confirmation bias and so on. But then also the data can shape the strategic direction of schools. So one of the really interesting findings from the latest survey was the students' perceived importance of trips, in particular school trips, in strengthening their sense of belonging to the community. I think there's a real power in being able to benchmark one's own school-specific data with, in the case of OxWell, I can compare across our trust family of secondary schools, also within Oxfordshire as a county, and then against a national data set. And what's particularly interesting is to see where there's correspondence, but also where there's difference.
And this is really exciting because it can be a launch pad to speak with students about what matters to them, what actions they think can be taken, and to actually work together to make real change in their lives.
What I have observed is that schools, when they start to look at their data, become increasingly curious about the students at the school in new ways. I was sitting with a teacher. We were exploring the experience of the Year 8 girls because that teacher said they were particularly worried about bullying amongst that group. But when we looked at the data, many more Year 9 girls were reporting bullying, and they were like, oh, maybe I need to actually start thinking beyond just Year 8 into Year 9 as well. So it's moments like that that I find really interesting, that young people are able to tell us things sometimes in the survey that it's harder for them to also let other people know. And when you've got all the data together, you can start to be more confident about what you're finding.
We're particularly excited to be able to apply technology and our expertise in order to develop tools that will give access to the real world data to the people who can make decisions based on them, and to use technology to improve people's lives.
Every time a new batch of users gets to use the platform, we let them use it for a week and then they come back to us with some feedback, and we normally try and build that in to the next version of the platform. Different filter they want to use that they think will be useful for their school, or a different way of viewing the data.
So I think what all school leaders are really trying to do when they're arriving at an accurate self-evaluation of a school is essentially triangulate as many robust sources of information as possible. And OxWell really supports that.
I had a chance to sit with a group of teachers as they explored their school's data, and it was genuinely wonderful to see how engaged they were. This platform lets you ask and answer your own questions about your school. You can find out what your young people are struggling with, who's struggling the most, and use those insights to tailor your interventions, all driven by your young people's voice.